Sketch has plenty of tricks up its sleeve to help you work faster and smarter. So here are 8 massively time-saving Sketch shortcuts that are impossible not to use once you know them. And number 6 is a doozy for the Photoshop converts out there. First up, we've got some navigational shortcuts. The first of which is technically 3 shortcuts to save you from wasting time panning and zooming. Command 1 will automatically scale and position your view to show absolutely everything on the current page. Great for seeking out an artboard visually instead of scrolling through the layers list. When you find what you're looking for, click to select it, then hit Command 2 to zoom it into view. Personally, I can't go 5 minutes without using this more than 10 times. It's also an incredibly useful way to go to something that you've selected from the layers list. Then if you just want to quickly reset your view to 100% zoom, it's Command 0. Here's a cool new trick that came in the recent Sketch 39 update. We can finally cycle through artboards using the keyboard by holding the function key and pressing the left and right arrow keys for previous and next. Sketch is even kind enough to leave the zoom level and position of the artboard on the screen alone to give you pixel-perfect feedback on what subtle changes might exist between 2 artboards. Bring to front and send to back work a little differently than they do in Photoshop or Illustrator. In Sketch, the shortcut is Control, Option, Command, and the up or down arrows. Up to bring the selection to the front, down to send it to the back. Drop the Control key from the shortcut if you want to move forward or back 1 layer at a time. And note that if the object you're moving is in a group, this shortcut will not break it out of the group to go higher or lower. The group has its own ceiling and floor, so to speak, so you may find yourself having to grab layers and drag them out at times. If you've got a number of objects that all need to share the same visual style, you can instantly take all the visual properties from one layer and apply them to another. Just select the source layer and press Option, Command C. Then select the destination layer and press Option, Command V. So it's just like copy and paste, but you're holding Option 2. Another sweet thing about this shortcut is that it copies and pastes shared styles too, so you can make things look consistent and then keep them that way moving forward. We all use the arrow keys to nudge objects that are off by a few pixels in position, but what about size? If you hold the Command key while you nudge with the arrow keys, you'll find yourself fine-tuning the size of the layer rather than the position. Add Shift for 10 pixel increments. The top left corner of the layer remains anchored, so the height and width will appear to change on the right and bottom. With that said, you may have to reposition after you scale. Okay, this is a big one. If you're a Photoshop user, then you're most likely accustomed to the freedom of selecting a layer from the Layers panel, then using the Move tool anywhere on the screen without fear of accidentally selecting something else. This can be a massive pain point for Photoshop converts in Sketch, since you now have to drag precisely on the object you're trying to move. But do you though? As it turns out, with any object selected, even from the layers list, you can hold Option and Command on the keyboard and then drag anywhere on the canvas to move your selection, without fear of accidentally selecting something else. Whoa, right? Let's say we need to get these circles selected to fix the vertical alignment within the squares. If we drag a selection around them, we of course get unwanted stuff selected because our selection box selects anything it touches. But if we hold the Option key, our selection will only grab objects whose bounds are entirely contained within the selection. More like a lasso and less like an electric fence. Last but not least is a neat trick that has a good number of different uses. Any layer or group on the layers list can actually be dragged from the layers list to the canvas to create a rasterized copy. This can be useful if you're trying to mock up some movement with motion blur and need to apply it to a complex group of objects. But the best part might be that you can actually drag layers out of Sketch to save or share them. For example, I can drag this group from the layers list directly onto the Apple Mail icon to automatically compose a new email with that group merged together and attached as a PNG. Another thing to note is that this trick actually does respect the choices that you make over in the Make Exportable area in the bottom right corner of Sketch. So you do have control over the size and the file type. It's not required, but it helps from time to time. Hopefully these 8 Sketch shortcuts save you a ton of time and take some of the resistance out of your workflow. For more great Sketch tips and tricks, subscribe to the InVision blog if you haven't already, and we'll see you soon.